Oh, seriously? Hey guys, welcome to another tactics video with me, 6+ Stevo. And in this one, we're going to be talking about the Deffkopta. Let's run over their stats before we start talking about them though. So, Deffkoptas are a fast attack choice. They have movement 14, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 5+, strength 4, toughness 5, 4 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 6, and a 4+ save. They also come with the rules Here We Go and Mob Rule, and Turbo Boost. Turbo Boost basically gives them a 6-inch advance. Rather than rolling the d6, you just get an automatic 6-inch advance. So that's fantastic. Combined with their movement 14 already, they're turbo boosting 20 inches, which is fantastic. They've also got the rule Scouting Ahead. So at the end of any of the movement phases, Deffkoptas can swoop around to ambush the foe, set them up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from enemy models and within 14 inch of a battlefield edge. Yeah, that's another fantastic rule there. And they've also come equipped free of charge with big bombs. The Deffkopta equipped with a big bomb can drop it as it flies over enemy units in its movement phase. After the Deffkopta has moved, pick one enemy unit that it flew over, then roll a d6 for each model in the enemy unit up to a maximum of 5. For each roll of 5+, the target unit suffers 1 mortal wound. It can only do this once per battle. So we've got some good abilities there with the Deffkoptas, and there's a multitude of ways you can use Deffkoptas. The turbo boost is brilliant. Just giving them already 14-inch movement. I mean, they're nipping about the board, no problem. And being able to advance an automatic 6 inches, making it 20 inches, gives them a huge threat range. We'll go over the weapons in a minute, but you know, their shortest range guns they can have are 24 inches. So you've got a 4-foot almost threat range there. Yeah, it's very impressive. Yeah, what would that be? 44-inch threat range. Yeah, brilliant. They've also got the Scouting Ahead rule. Now, being able to deep strike them is amazing. You can get them right where you need them, depending on what weapons you've equipped them with. They can pop out and target, you know, if you've equipped them with rockets to target vehicles and things, you can easily get them where they need to be, or they can be good objective grabbers. It really gives you a good bit of mobility and maneuverability to be able to get around the board and pop up where you want, when you want. They're an incredibly useful unit, actually. The big bomb. The big bomb's useful, combined with their movement. They can. It's quite easy for them to get where they need to be and fly over units and drop those bombs. And it gives the Orks access. It's a unit that gives us access to mortal wounds, which we don't get a lot of currently in the index. There's a few things that can dish out mortal wounds, but not many. But this is one of the units that can do it. So yeah, I wouldn't, with Deffkoptas, I wouldn't build your whole strategy around the big bomb. It's a nice little extra, let's put it that way. I wouldn't say it's their primary use, but it is worthwhile trying to drop those bombs if you get a chance, because they're there, why not? Especially on things like squads of Terminators and stuff, that, you know, that've got things that are packing invulnerable saves. Being able to dish out a few mortal wounds like that, very useful. So let's have a look at the weapons they can come with. We'll look at the ranged weapons first. You've got Copter Rockets. Now these are my favourite. All of my Deffkoptas are equipped with these. They've got range 24, assault 2, strength 8, AP -2, damage 3. That's what I love about rockets with the Orks. A flat 3 damage. None of this D3 or D6, so you're not at risk of only causing 1 wound. You just do a flat 3 damage, and -2 AP is pretty respectable as well. They don't hit with them very often. In the old codex, they used to be twin linked, so you'd get 1 shot with a reroll. Now you just get 2 shots. So yeah, it's orc shooting. You can never rely on orc shooting, but it's just more rockets to add to the army. They're quite good for harassing vehicles and dreadnoughts and things, and pumping a few extra wounds into them. The thing is, though, with the new rules, rockets, although I really do like them in this edition, obviously in the older edition, you know, 1 rocket hit a tank could potentially destroy that tank. In this edition, that's not going to happen. You're only going to cause 3 damage with each rocket hit. So it's volume of fire you're looking for. So the fact that they get 2 shots each is nice. And 24-inch range with a 14-inch movement and the deep strike ability. No tank's safe from these. You can pop them exactly where you need them and shoot off your rockets, no problem. Your next option is the custom Mega Blaster. Same range, Assault 1, Strength 8, AP -3, which is nice. Damage D3, so a bit more of a random element. You're going to be rolling some 1s there. On a hit roll of 1, the bearer suffers a mortal wound. So you've also playing a bit of a risk to yourself there. I don't see any reason to take these at all. Literally the only reason I could see to take these is if you're really pushed for points. The custom Mega Blaster is 9 points as opposed to 24 points for the Copter Rocket, so it is quite a bit cheaper. So I suppose in that respect, if you're looking for some sort of anti-tank or anti-hard target weaponry at a cheap price, I suppose, but I just don't see the reason for them. I don't see it. They're risky. You only get 1 shot with orc shooting, and then even if you do hit and wound, you could potentially just roll a 1 for the damage. So I think for custom Mega Blasters to be more used by orc players, they need to either up the damage on them. If it was a D6 damage, you've still got that risk, but at least you've got a better risk to reward ratio, and it would add to the randomness of it, which would work for orcs, or make it even cheaper still, because the next option is only 1 point more expensive, and that's the twin big shooter, and a far better option in my opinion. 36-inch range, so literally nothing on the board anywhere is safe from your Deffkoptas with this weapon. Assault 6, so volume of fire is brilliant. On average you'd be hitting with 2 of those, potentially more. Strength 5, AP nothing, damage 1. So it's just a good volume of fire, troop killing gun, really. Big shooters are good. I do like big shooters. I like their range, and I just like the 1 extra strength there, giving you some strength 5 shots, and a lot of them is nice. You're wounding Space Marines and stuff on a 3, which is good. So yeah, I mean, my personal favourite is the Copter Rockets. These are my tank hunters. They're just really useful, especially if you've got things like whirlwinds and stuff, and maybe like las cannon predators and stuff sitting at the back of the board. These are great. They pop out, they harass the enemy. They're a great unit for just really irritating the enemy and messing up his plans. You do also have some close combat options. They come as standard with spinning blades. So this is a melee weapon. Strength +1, so this putting them on strength 5, which is pretty respectable. AP nothing, damage 1. And it's got the special rule, make D3 hit rolls for each attack made with this weapon instead of 1. So they come with 2 attacks, so you're basically making 2 D3 attacks, which is pretty nice actually. It's not bad. So minimum, if you roll snake eyes, you're going to be doing 2 attacks. But yeah, potentially up to 6 attacks with each of these. So it's not bad. It's not bad. In my opinion, they're not really built for combat though, these guys. Your next option though is the kill saw. Obviously that's 15 points for a kill saw, I believe, if I remember correctly. Strength ×2, AP -4, which is beautiful, and damage 2. So that's nice. Again, it's a nice reliable damage output there, doing 2 wounds with each wound. When attacking with this weapon, you must subtract 1 from the hit roll, and there's the trouble. You're gone from hitting on a 3+ to hitting on a 4+, so you've only got a 50-50 shot of hitting with this weapon, but you're going to do some damage if you do. So yeah, I mean, I don't give mine kill saws because I don't really use them for combat, and if I do, it's just to sort of tie up weaker units, maybe things like devastators and things that are hanging, or snipers and things that are hanging back at the back of the board. I don't really expect my Deffkoptas to go in and do much in the way of killing. They're just there to sort of maybe tie up a shooter unit or pick off an already damaged unit that's, you know, on its last legs and only a few models left, and they go in and finish it off. But yeah, I suppose if you did have them all equipped with kill saws and stuff, it would be quite a nasty prospect. You know, a large squad of 5 of them charging you, all with kill saws. Be pretty nasty to be on the receiving end of that, I suppose. Yeah, not the way I use them personally though. Also, it gets a bit expensive once you're piling on the points. The Deffkoptas themselves, 55 points. Then dependent what weapon loadout you give them. For me, Copter Rockets, 24, so what's that, 79 points already. And then you're throwing on a 15-point kill saw on top of that. They're getting really expensive then, and I think potentially they're a little bit overpriced currently. I'm hoping for a slight reduction. We did get a small reduction with some of the weapons in chapter approved. Copter Rockets dropped 4 points. Twin Big Shooters dropped 2 points. So we did, dependent which loadout you give them, we have shaved a few points off there, but I think potentially we could do with losing a few more points on them. But yeah, Deffkoptas are pretty good in my opinion. The way I use them, I've got 6, and I use them all individually as 1 unit each on their own, and there's several reasons I do that. One is for the dreaded leadership test. These guys generally, if they're out deep striking, they're out on their own, so they're not going to gain any sort of buffs from the mob rule, usually, in my experience. So they're out on their own, so they're relying on their leadership of 6. And generally with things like multi-wound, low leadership models, things like Deffkoptas, things like Killer Cans, I don't like having them in units, because if you lose a few of them, and you take that leadership test, you know, for everyone you fail by, it's not wounds, you're losing models, and losing a 4 wound or a 5 wound model is not nice. I don't want to experience that. They're too expensive to be losing them through leadership tests, in my opinion. So I prefer to use them singly on their own. And the other advantage to that is it helps me fill out my detachments. I've got 6 of them, so I can very easily throw in a few Outriders detachments into my army and gain access to more command points, which is always nice. Also, the other advantage to having them on their own is because of how I use them with their scouting ahead rule and holding them back in reserve. They're always the first thing I set up. So at the beginning of the game, me and my opponent are setting up, and I will set up my 6 units of Deffkoptas in reserve, forcing him or her to set up 6 to 7 units before I've set up anything else on the table, and it gives you a massive advantage being able to set up reacting to them. So before the game's even begun, the Deffkoptas are already earning their points for me tactically. I'm forcing my opponent, unless they got an equal beardy trick under their sleeve and they've got a lot of units in reserve. Yeah, they're setting up most of their army, so I can see where they're setting up and I can set up accordingly. So yeah, that's a nice little beardy trick I like to use anyway. The disadvantage to it, I suppose, is if you are going to use them for assaults and things, with when you're charging a unit and you're taking the overwatch fire, you sort of run the risk of just losing the unit of one quite easily from overwatch, depending on what you're taking it from. So obviously, yeah, but it's a slight downside. And like I say, I don't use them in that way anyway. Very rarely do I bring them into combat, only if I'm just, like I say, just trying to tie something up or finish something off. But yeah, so I would advise anyone to use these on their own. It works better in my opinion. The big bomb, like I said earlier, is fantastic for using against Terminators and things. I like to now, it's actually one thing I want to ask you guys, actually, because this is how I use it, but I'm not sure if I'm breaking the rules here. It says on the big bomb thing that when you fly over a unit in your movement phase, you get to drop the big bomb once per battle. Now, currently, I've been doing that combined with the turbo boost. And I've not found any rule anywhere that says you can't. So I've been using the full 20-inch movement to fly over like a unit of Terminators, say, and drop the big bomb on them. And as far as I can see, there's no rules that say you can't do that, because it's not a shooting attack or anything. It literally just says you're dropping the bomb. So, but if any of you guys know any different, please in the comments let me know, because I would hate to be cheating. I don't think I am, but yeah, because although 14-inch movement is a lot, you do have to avoid being in combat, you do have to be more than 1 inch away from a unit when you end your movement phase. And sometimes 14 inches flying over a unit, especially if it's quite a large unit of troops, it can be quite tricky to fly over it and end your movement. So usually that's why I use the turbo boost, to get the 20 inches so I can fly right over them, drop the bomb, turn around and then shoot the rockets off. With a -1 to my ballistic skill, obviously only hitting on 6s then. But yeah, just to throw everything I have at them. Why not? We're orcs. Another advantage they have, actually, I've just remembered, is the fly keyword. This is handy when they get into combat, because during your movement phase you can fall back and still shoot without any penalty. So yeah, that is another fantastic little rule they have. So if you do decide to charge in with them on your next turn, you can freely move out and then fire away again and charge back in. So that's always nice. Or if you do get caught, you know, with your pants down and they charge you, you can get out of there on your next turn. So yeah, they're a unit that has quite a few things going for them, actually. Overall, they've got a lot of different ways they can be used. They can grab objectives, they're good for targeting tanks, they can pack a bit of punch in melee, they're dropping the bombs, they can fall out of combat. So yeah, now I think about it, actually, maybe they are worth the points. Maybe they're not overpriced. I do like using them. It's just, you'd always like everything to be a bit cheaper, wouldn't you? But anyway, guys, I've rambled on long enough now. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts below. 6+ Stevo, signing out.